What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Warlocks. School is back in session, and today we're checking out an absolute monster of a build. With the introduction of the final shape, we saw the arrival of the Mataiodoxia exotic chess piece, and this exotic has revolutionized the role of a Broodweaver Warlock. I would even go as far to say that this is a better exotic to use with the Broodweaver than the Swarmers are. The Mataiodoxia comes with an interesting intrinsic trait called Stylostixis. This enhances your arcane needles in a number of ways, and while this could bring benefits to a prismatic warlock, you'll find much better synergy when used with the base Strand subclass. Whenever you strike an enemy with an arcane needle, that enemy will become marked with a green place marker for anyone on the team to see. This marker will remain for 10 seconds. When that enemy is defeated, they'll create a suspending detonation, suspending any enemy within a 4-meter radius. Suspending enemies can become a crucial aspect when it comes to survivability for not only you, but other members of your team. And being able to keep all of your enemies suspended will make them all an easy target for you and allies. Now, if you strike that same enemy with a second arcane needle, a stronger detonation will be instantly triggered, suspending everyone nearby, and that enemy will still trigger a detonation on its death. When you defeat enemies with an arcane needle, you'll gain bonus melee energy, and when you defeat suspended enemies, you'll also gain bonus melee energy. This will be based on the enemy's difficulty level, with small rank and file enemies providing 15%, with high ranking enemies like champions and tormentors providing 100% bonus energy. Just with the suspensions that the Mataiodoxia will create, we'll be able to regenerate a ton of bonus melee energy to keep those 3 arcane needles charged up and ready. Another benefit to running this exotic is that our arcane needles will have the ability of piercing barrier shields, and against most barrier champions, it'll only take 1 needle to break that shield. Between our arcane needle and our suspensions, we'll be able to effectively stun unstoppable champions and barrier champs, and with all the crowd control capabilities that we'll have, we'll be able to dominate in in-game content like dungeons, raids, or Grandmaster Nightfalls. When selecting our aspects, fragments, and other strand abilities, our main objective is to increase the regeneration rate of our arcane needles. And one of the best ways of doing this will be to maximize our suspension abilities. To do this, we are using the Wanderer aspect, and this will cause tangles to create a suspending detonation on impact. This also grants threadlings with the ability to create tangles. We will have a 10-second cooldown between any tangle creation, so when we can't make use of a tangle, we can make use of Mind Spun Invocation. This aspect transforms our grenade, and since we are using shackle grenades, whenever we consume that grenade, we'll take on the Weaver's trance. While this is active, any final blow will trigger a detonating blast, and that will suspend all nearby targets. This will last for 25 seconds, and when used against a dense crowd of enemies, this will give us ample opportunity to spam and regenerate a ton of arcane needles. When it comes to our choice in fragments, we are going with Thread of Fury, and this will generate bonus melee energy whenever we damage enemies with a tangle. This will provide between 10 and 30% additional energy. We're also using Thread of Generation. The more grenades we have, the more suspensions we can create, which means more arcane needle energy. This will provide us with a small amount of grenade energy as we deal damage from any source. It is a small amount, but it will build up quick. I wouldn't count on generating very many orbs with our grenades or arcane needle, so using Thread of Wisdom would be a great way to create these. This will create orbs when defeating suspended enemies, and this will provide us with 1 orb every 10 seconds. We want to generate as many orbs as we can, because those will give us Woven Mail, thanks to the use of Thread of Warding. While Woven Mail is active, we'll have a 45% damage resistance bonus, so we want to keep that up as often as we can. There's a few things that we can do with our armor to help generate those orbs, and recharge our melee energy even more, and we'll talk about those here soon. But first I want to talk about a few new artifact mods that you'll definitely want to be using with this build. Elemental Siphon will cause tangles to be generated whenever defeating enemies with kinetic or strand weapons. This is in addition to the tangles that we'll already be creating, and this will not follow the same guideline on cooldown. So this will greatly improve our ability to create more suspensions, which will mean more arcane needles. To piggyback off of extra tangles, we have the Threaded Blast mod, and this will create a bigger, more powerful suspending detonation whenever we destroy tangles with a strand weapon. And we intend on running at least one, if not two, strand weapons at all times. Counter energy is also going to be a great option because it will generate bonus energy to the least charged ability whenever anyone on our team stuns a champion. We also want to use Shield Crush. This is in the final column. While we have Woven Mail active, it's going to provide us with a 25% bonus to the regeneration rate of our melee energy, and it's also going to give our arcane needles a 25% bonus in damage. This synergizes perfectly with the Mataiodoxia, and it will make those arcane needles super spicy, and typically they're not very strong, so this is a very nice change up. Now, if you are running, or if a teammate is running, a weapon or ability that will cause enemies to become weakened, I would recommend to equip the Expanding Abyss artifact mod, and equip yourself with at least one or two void weapons. When using Expanding Abyss, you'll deal between 25 and 35% bonus damage whenever using them against weakened targets. This is one of the many reasons why I never leave home without my handy dandy commemoration. Thanks to these artifact mods, we're getting double the amount of tangles, a ton of extra melee energy, and bonus damage. Things are looking pretty good, so let's take a look at our armor and our armor mods to identify what we can do to improve things even further. When it comes to the character stats that should be focused on, resilience will need to be the first priority, and beyond that, we're looking at strength and discipline to reduce the base cooldown for both our grenade and melee energies. Since we won't be generating orbs off of melees or grenades, our main form of orb production will have to come from our weapons, so we're using Helmet Siphon mods and Reaper class item mods. As we collect those orbs, we'll gain armor charges, and we can use those armor charges in combination with melee kickstart to generate even more arcane needle energy. This will convert armor charges into melee energy whenever we throw an arcane needle, and it will provide us with as much as 40% extra melee energy. With the use of the Elemental Charge Boots mod, we'll have a chance at creating extra armor charges whenever we pick up tangles, and this mod's armor cost will be reduced down to just 1 point with the use of the Elemental Charge artifact mod. We have Invigoration on our boots, so whenever we collect orbs, we'll also generate an extra 10% melee energy, and since we're also using the Recuperation mod, we'll gain extra health recovery. To go along with Reaper on our class item, we're also using Outreach, which will generate up to 17% bonus energy whenever we activate our class ability near enemies. So between our subclass abilities, our artifact, and our armor, we'll be able to spam those arcane needles almost infinitely, as we're able to keep all of our enemies suspended. And that brings us to our choice in weaponry. Now there's a lot of solid options out there. The Monte Carlo could be great towards regenerating our melee energy, but honestly, I don't think it's needed. And I'd much rather have the benefits of a strand weapon, like the Final Warning sidearm, or the Wishkeeper exotic bow. These are my most two recommended weapons. The Wishkeeper creates its own suspensions, so adding that into what we've already got going on here is a no-brainer. It's going to make a tremendous combination. Running a bow also lets you stay further back, which can be a big benefit in certain Grandmaster Nightfalls. It's to that end that I would say the Final Warning is more fit for aggressive, close combat engagements. This sidearm absolutely melts. It puts out more damage than most any other exotic primary, but it needs to be used in close quarter settings. One of the biggest benefits to the Final Warning is that it unravels targets, and with the addition of its catalyst, you'll gain 10% extra damage against any marked target, and you'll also gain ammo back whenever hitting those marked targets. I like pairing these exotics with the Indebted Kindness. Rocket sidearms are just so strong right now, and with permeability equipped, this will take on Strand Energy, giving us a lot of additional synergy to both our abilities and artifact mods. If we're not running the Indebted Kindness, then we're probably running a shotgun, like the Basso Ostinato, with Envious Assassin and 1-2 Punch. This is a void shotgun, so it would benefit off of Expanding Abyss. And when it comes to our heavy slot, if we're not using the Commemoration, then we're using the Pro Memoria. This new heavy machine gun is as powerful as the Circular Logic, but it's faster, and it just feels way better. And it's got some amazing perks that include Slice and Hatchlings, or Reconstruction with Target Lock or Bait and Switch. In general, Slice and Hatchlings both are invaluable weapon traits that we definitely want to have on any Strand weapon. It would also be nice to have perks like Pugilist or Grave Robber to be able to play off of our use of arcane needles. With a never-ending supply of suspensions and arcane needles getting amplified with massive regenerative bonuses, we'll be able to handle anything that comes our way, whether those enemies come as a champion, a tormentor, or just a big-ass group of thrall. So if you've not yet tried the Mataiodoxia, then it is time you do so, because this build is absolutely insane. One of the best Warlock builds in Destiny 2 right now, and most definitely the strongest Strand build that Warlocks have ever had. And with that said, that brings us to an end of today's build video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Mataiodoxia, this Broodweaver Warlock, or anything else Destiny related. Let us know down in the comments. If you need help setting up the build for yourself, you can find some additional tools through the Mobalytics link down in the description. There's also a Destiny Item Manager link down there, and a Discord link if you're a new or returning player who's just looking for some help getting through those tougher activities. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.